Hola and guten tag. How's it going? It's Monday, I know, 7:54 in the morning here in western Iowa. We have a forecast for you. We're going to look out to our snow outlook between now and Christmas. That'll be fun. And a big cool off coming just before Thanksgiving, and maybe a snowstorm for parts of the Central Plains into the Midwest before Thanksgiving. So we'll take a look at all that. We'll start out with the hazards this morning, as we often do. And it's a lot of wind scattered here and there. So, like the arrowhead of Minnesota up into the UP of Michigan, parts of northern Wisconsin, some high wind warnings, or I think that's wind advisories. Wind advisories, Oregon, California. We've got winter weather advisories for Washington, Oregon, California, Utah. Wind up there in Montana, a little bit of wind there by Point Conception and parts of Southern California. Fog along the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana, a little bit of fog near Atlanta, and our persistent flooding, river flooding that we see often in South Carolina, Georgia, into even Louisiana now, and also Florida. All right, here's our weather spotlight, spotlight, spotlight. This was too interesting for me not to include it. And am I doing the max headroom thing? I guess I'll see it on the playback. Anyway, I stole this from Joe Bastardi on his Twitter feed, Twitter X, and of course I think he's one of the lead forecasters. He might even own Weather Bell. But anyway, he posted this. This is the next 30 days of snow. He posted this yesterday. So obviously subject to change. So between now and Christmas Eve, this is what the models are saying, or at least the European model is saying. Snowfall between now and then. This is not snow on the ground Christmas Eve. This is snow between now and Christmas Eve. So it could snow and then melt, that sort of thing. For example, West Texas. So, down to Lubbock, you might see, according to this, maybe 3 inches of snow. And then it may melt. You know how that goes. Now, where I live here in western Iowa, kind of on the edge of the blue and the purple there. So that's about 4 to 6 inches of snow, we'll call it, where I live. And depending on the timing, maybe it'll be around for Christmas. But at least according to the GFS model, it may come before Thanksgiving. But anyway, this gives you an idea of the snow. I mean, our fortunes are going to change as we head into winter. That kind of makes sense. So I just thought that was interesting. I thought I'd share it with you. All right, let's get into our forecast. I want to show you where the clouds are right now. And as we take a look at, what do we call this? This is our infrared satellite imagery. Big storm moving into the Pacific Northwest right now. So the brighter the colors, the higher the cloud tops. So, big storm moving in here, Oregon, Washington, Northern California. We see a stream of high clouds. I'm trying not to be hyper with the mouse. It was bugging me when I was watching the playback. Anyway, high clouds streaming into Arizona and New Mexico. Little disturbance here, Virginia, North Carolina. And there's what's left of Raphael, still out here in the Gulf. We have two lows here, one in Quebec, one in Ontario, moving onto Lake Superior. This is going to push some cooler air into the northeast, and this one's going to push a cold front through the upper Midwest and northern plains. So we have a weak cold front moving through where I live this morning. So slightly cooler than yesterday for western Iowa with a few high clouds streaming our way. All right, did we do the surface yet? Let's do that. Surface for today shows that big storm, Pacific Northwest. Scattered showers along the coast. It's rain or snow inland, and for the mountains, of course, snow. There's your disturbance in the Carolinas with a little bit of scattered rain there, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Also for the southeast and also parts of Florida. Front moving through Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama with some rain there. There's your cooler air for the northeast and some scattered rain and snow. And here's our weak cold front moving into the upper Midwest and the northern plains for today. Temperature anomalies. It's pretty warm pretty much the whole country, either above average, slightly above average, or a little bit more than that. Still a few pockets of below average in New Mexico and Colorado with a lot of snow on the ground still. And a little bit cooler with that system in Northern California into Oregon. Highs today, Northern California and Oregon 50s. 40s and 30s in the mountains and inland for the Pacific Northwest, 70s for the desert Southwest, 70s for Texas, but a few 80s as you head east into Texas and into the southeast. Louisiana, 70s, 80s near the coast. Lots of 80s, 70s and 80s for the southeast, 80s as you get into Florida, 70s up the mid-Atlantic, 60s for Tennessee and Kentucky and up into the Midwest, Ohio Valley, 50s Great Lakes, 50s where I live, actually 40s where I live. Same with the Northern Plains, and a lot of 50s and 40s for the Northeast. Lows tomorrow morning. I mean, it's cold. It's supposed to be cold this time of year. We're supposed to be free. Where I live, it's supposed to be like 30 degrees is average. So we're going to be a little bit above average, mid-30s. Lots of 30s in the west, 20s, teens with elevation. 50s, though, to start the day in Texas and the southeast, 60s for, and even a few 70s for Florida, and 80 to start the day for Miami. You're crazy. All right. I would never live in Miami, but I know a lot of people disagree with that. All right, surface for tomorrow. Our storm in the Pacific Northwest makes progress to the east into the Rockies. Scattered rain and snow all the way back to Oregon and Washington, though, and heavy snow possible for parts of Washington State. Scattered showers, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Texas. And rain moving into the plains, into the Midwest. Lingering rain and snow for the Northeast. Severe tomorrow. Yeah, there's a chance for severe tomorrow. And probably where your Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas is, right? Nope. So West Texas into Oklahoma with a chance of severe. The western edge of that is I-27, Amarillo to Lubbock, and then heading north from there. But Childress, you're also in this. And again, parts of western Oklahoma, barely a little bit of Kansas. The lighter green is your chance of thunderstorms. All right, 24-hour precipitation. We're looking at the heaviest rain, maybe Louisiana, but Pacific Northwest for sure is where we're going to see plenty of rain along the coast, maybe up to 2 inches for some areas. And a lot of this in the Northwest is going to fall as snow, at least in the higher elevations, quite a bit. A couple feet of snow along the spine of the Cascades in Oregon and Washington. The Olympic Mountains, a couple feet of snow, just beautiful. Seriously, Google it if you can't go. Idaho, scattered snow into Montana. Also Nevada, lighter amounts, but some snow in Nevada. And also for the, sorry about the noise. It's a lot of activity here on the farm. All right, and some Sierra Nevada snow as well. Anomalous temperatures for tomorrow, warming up in the northern plains. Some hot air coming down from Canada. And then we have cool temperatures for the west and southwest, and also for the northeast. Warm for Texas and the southeast. Highs tomorrow, Texas and the southeast, 70s and 80s. 70s for the desert southwest, and that's cooler than average. You get up into Oregon, Washington, a lot of 50s along the coast, 40s inland. Still hanging on to some 40s upper Midwest, 50s where I live in Iowa, also down into the Ohio Valley, into Kentucky, West Virginia, 50s. 60s, though, for Tennessee, Mid-Atlantic, 50s and 40s southeast. Moving on to Wednesday now. We see another system in the Pacific Northwest. Our best chance for rain here in Iowa, western Iowa, at least in the morning. Moving eastward during the day, upper Midwest, maybe some rain up and all the way into the Ohio Valley. Scattered showers for Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, into the southeast. And severe on Wednesday. It could happen around Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and then around that, the lighter green again, a chance for some thunderstorms, and that would be unsettled enough for Northern California, Oregon, and Washington coastal areas for maybe a few rumbles of thunder here. Wednesday, warm in the northern plains and Texas in the southeast, also Ohio Valley a little above average. Cool for the mid-Atlantic, slightly below average, and most of the west slightly below average as well. And those highs, again, 50s along the Oregon, Washington, Northern California coast, 60s Central California to 70, and then 70s in the desert southwest. 50s in the plains, except for where it's 60s, Oklahoma and the southern plains of Texas, even getting into the 70s, 80s for East Texas. 70s mostly for the southeast, cooling off for Georgia, South Carolina in the 60s, 50s for the mid-Atlantic, so cooler here. And then 50s as you get into the Ohio Valley, even 40s and 30s for the Northeast. All right, let's take a look at, let me switch to screens here, and we'll take a look at our GFS. Let me get that set up. GFS has some really interesting things in our future, so I want to go through this. Starting with this morning, here's our big storm in the Pacific Northwest, moving in with rain and snow. Here's our low over Lake Superior, some colder air spilling in to parts of the Great Lakes here, and here's our low in Quebec, some cooler air spilling into the northeast, starting as rain this morning. A little bit of moisture still from what was Raphael, so some of those heavier rain showers, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama along the coast. As we go through the day today, we see some snows mainly on the Canadian side of the Great Lakes, but our 540 line, so some of the, the below freezing temperatures, maybe not at the surface, but close to freezing into the Great Lakes. And this will be moving into the northeast, changing that rain into snow for the northeast for some, like right here in northern New York. This gets us to midnight tonight. Some snow showers moving into the interior, also for the Cascades of Oregon and Washington, and the Siskiyous of California. Snow for Nevada, as we talked about, moving into Utah and picking up for parts of eastern Idaho, southern Montana. This gets us into Tuesday. Oop, I did it again. I wanted to point to something, and all right, here we go. It's Tuesday, 6 a.m. That's what we want. All right, as we move through time, looks like a little bit of warmth and some breezes coming into parts of the plains, but it's not going to cool off too much here in Iowa. It's going to, warm up. It's going to warm up a little bit. But another system moving into the plains, some light rain, that's going to pick up as it heads my way into Iowa. So we see some more showers, maybe even some thunderstorms here in western Iowa, down into Kansas, Oklahoma, parts of Nebraska. Another storm system for the Pacific Northwest. This is Wednesday morning. And then we see the rain busting out. Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, into Missouri. And then it kind of lingers. So nice. And then we see more rain busting out from the southeast into Tennessee and Kentucky, Indiana. That'll be moving into Ohio. I left out Illinois, so Illinois and Michigan. Meanwhile, in the west, rain and snow. This is Thursday early morning, or it was. This is Thursday. This is Thursday early morning. Golly, you'd think I would learn. All right, we have rain and snow moving from Ohio into the northeast along the mid-Atlantic as well. Mostly rain, a little bit of snow. See some heavy snow here in California. This gets us to the 15th. All right, let me speed up because I want to get to the fun stuff. All right, there goes a low into Canada. But we're starting to see some cold air on the 18th coming south. And that's going to move really far south as we go in time here. That particular batch moves eastward, but we got a big storm, according to the GFS, forming down here in New Mexico, Colorado, into the southern plains. Lots of showers, storms. This is kind of far out for certainty, but this is Monday the 18th. And watch this storm, just heavy rain. Kansas, Oklahoma, moving into Iowa and Nebraska. Heavy snow back in Colorado. Heavy rain on the 19th, or this is midnight the 18th, but moving into the 19th, heavy rain. Omaha, West Texas, or western Iowa. Heavy snow for parts of Nebraska. And then watch this. Snow. Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and very windy here. North winds just howling, cold air dipping all the way into West Texas. And we're not done yet. Here's a line of storms as ahead of that cold front. And then this storm is going to linger. And we see heavy snow coming up now for parts of Kansas into Nebraska, into Iowa, with a lot of wind. And then it starts snowing where I live on the 20th. And then it keeps snowing where I live and picks up into the 21st. And a little bit more snow. And then it retrogrades back to the west. Lots of snow for Nebraska, into Kansas, into South Dakota. And then it's more heavy snow on the 22nd for western Iowa. So I'm a little bit excited about this forecast, but I also know that we're far enough away that it may not happen exactly like this. But, some snow back to Wisconsin, through Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas still, as we get into Saturday the 23rd. Thanksgiving this year is on the 28th, by the way. And then we see finally the storm moving out. And look at this cold air by the 24th dipping south. So that's the craziness that's coming. Our pattern's definitely changing. And you're going to get really cold on the 25th, all the way down to the Gulf Coast in Mississippi almost, and then moving into the east. So even if it doesn't play out exactly like this, we definitely have changes coming as we get further into November. All right. As we get to our 8 to 14 day temperatures, this is the 18th through the 24th. So basically below average west, above average east, and then our best chance of above average would be Great Lakes and Northeast. And then precipitation-wise, our best chance of above average precipitation moving into the plains, into the Midwest, into the Great Lakes. So I want to go through, remember, forecast through the weekend or your time back. So we'll go through our highs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Thursday, you can see the warmth in the middle of the country, cool on both coasts, although warm in the southeast and southwest too. And then as we get into Friday, still warm in the center of the country. Is it even warmer? Yeah, well, the warmth moving a little bit further east, but still like 50s for Ohio, for example. And cool out west and in the northeast. Then Saturday, getting cooler northwest, a little bit warmer on the east coast. Still warm in the middle of the country. Texas still kind of feeling the heat. And then it's starting to cool off a little bit on Sunday in the middle of the country. The west is still coolest, but some of that cool air is starting to move down the plains now as we get into Sunday. But super pleasant if you like mid 70s for the southeast, just beautiful. Much of Texas too. But check out the 22nd. We'll just jump ahead and give you an idea of what's coming. So very cold center of the country, 34 for Lubbock, Texas on the 22nd, 35 for Omaha. So, and below freezing, Hastings, Nebraska, all the way back into the Rockies and the northern plains. So cold air coming as we get closer to Thanksgiving. So there you go. Couple of storms for the Pacific Northwest. A little bit of rain for the plains moving into the Midwest next couple of days. And then it gets a little crazy as we get to the week before Thanksgiving, heading towards Thanksgiving. So I appreciate you being here, and I love doing this every morning. Like I said, I wake up kind of excited to see what the models are going to say now or next. So I just like sharing it with you. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll do it again tomorrow right here on the Weather Mic. Have a good day.